Hello, I'm Roger Farina. I am the captain of Varsity.GOP. I'm the team captain of Varsity GOP.
Hi, I'm Arianna Del Palazzo, and I'm the county commissioner in Lee County.
We're here today because we're going to make a video. We're going to take a walk down to the Lee County Board of Elections, and we're going to sit down there and we're going to learn about how to set up a campaign committee and all the finances and stuff like that that go along with it.
Stuff you gotta know.
Yeah, you've already done this one.
I have.
Yeah, so just stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Arianna Del Palazzo, and I'm interested in running for office. I felt that this was probably the first place I should start, and so I was hoping you could kind of walk me through some things that I need to know.
Absolutely. So whenever anybody's falling for office, one of the first things we do is we like to give them our green folders. It has all sorts of great campaign finance information in there. When you first come to file for office, or even before that point when you form a committee, you have a lot of paperwork to fill out. So the first thing you'll do is actually fill out the statement of organization. Everybody has to do that.
No matter what office.
No matter what office you're running for. So that's the first thing you'll do. You'll choose a committee name. For instance, your committee name could be a committee to elect Arianna Del Palazzo. So something pretty simple. Next thing you'll do is fill out a treasurer form. Anybody can be your treasurer except a spouse, somebody who does not reside in North Carolina, a member of the probation commission, and there are a few other different requirements, but those are basic.
Can you be your own treasurer?
You can be your own treasurer, absolutely. But that can actually be found in this campaign finance manual. But here's the treasurer form.
Very good.
And then the next thing you'll do is you'll actually fill out the certification of financial account information. This is confidential information that has your bank account, wherever you open up a campaign finance bank account at. So I actually keep this. I have them under lock and key in a filing cabinet over there. So that's what that form will look like. And this form is actually optional. You can fill out a certification of threshold. What that means is you're certifying that you're not going to raise or spend more than $1,000. I would always recommend that you fill this out to begin with, because you can always withdraw it at any time. So that's a nice copy of that one. And this is also not required. It's called the candidate designation of committee funds. But I would highly recommend this form, because if something were to happen to a candidate during the course of an election, the question might become what happens to their account funds. But if you fill this out, it'll tell you exactly where it's going to go. You can donate it to a party, you can donate it to a church, any basically nonprofit organization you can donate it to. Got that. And finally, this is something that we do specific to Lee County. It's called the candidate information for news media. It's got your name, how you want it to appear on the ballot. It's got your residential address and some contact information in the seat that you're running for. And this is also things that we've actually put on our website as well.
So what is the deadline for anything?
So great question. So if you're running for office, you have 10 days once you publicly announce or start raising money to get us that information. Typically, a lot of candidates will just file during the candidate filing period. So for this year, that begins July 5th and runs through July 19th.
Describe the difference between setting up a committee and filing.
Sure. So when you're filing for office, that's actually the process in which you certify that your name is going to be on the ballot. So when you're opening a committee, you're opening the campaign finance portion of the election cycle. So inside your green folder, the first on the left-hand side, you have your mandatory compliance training. This is a schedule of all the in-person trainings that will occur beginning in June and running through December. I would always encourage the candidate and their treasurer, if you have a separate treasurer, take this class. You have to do it once every 4 years, and it's whether or not you have you're raising or spending more than $1,000. Again, I would highly recommend you go in person the first time, because you might have some questions, and somebody might ask those in that course, but you can also do it online. And if you're not going to be your own treasurer, then I would highly recommend that you do it, mainly because you want to know the rules, what you can and can't do. If somebody brings you $100 in cash, it's really hard to turn that down, but you can actually only take $50 in cash at one time.
It's important.
So it's important to know, but this can also be found on the State Board of Elections website. So definitely make sure you're aware of that. You also have the reporting schedule for this year. So we're actually, if you're in the city of Sanford, we do partisan elections for the city, so you have a lot more reports than if you were not. And if you were in a nonpartisan player on it like Broadway. So again, this is all can be found on the State Board of Elections website. You also have the political signage regulations for Sanford, Lee County, and Broadway. The Lee County Board of Elections and most Board of Elections, well, I'd actually say all Board of Elections, we don't really regulate signs. We only regulate the campaign finance portion. So if there is a sign on the highway or let's say in somebody's yard, and I can't remember the exact size, but it's one of the bigger signs. That's not your typical yard sign. They have to have a legend that says paid for by the committee to elect Arianna Del Palazzo. If they don't have that and somebody, were to complain about that, that's what we would handle. If it's where it's located at, we don't really handle that. So you would have to call, the Sanford Lee County Zoning and Design Review Department, located on Chatham Street.
So they handle the signs? They
handle the signs, absolutely. But I'm never upset to take that phone call because I know that, you see a political sign, we're probably your first stop. So, North Carolina general statutes on the regulation of signs as well as littering, sign placement, things like that. That's always in there. And this is what they look like. We also have your dates to remember. It basically has all things election related in Lee County that's going on this year. That's also available on our website. It's got the candidate filing periods, when early voting is going to occur, when the last day to register is, things like that. So just great information for anybody who's just curious about elections in general. So you've also got the municipal elections, the offices on the ballot. So what's going to be on there this year, how much the filing fee is and where to file at. Good thing is for municipal elections, you're all going to be here in Sanford. So that's also available on our website. Then I've got your basic information on campaign finance, what you can and cannot do, basically don't do, about how much you can take in from a single person, how much cash, things like that. But that can be found in here with these two documents, and it can also be found in the campaign finance manual, which is about 136 pages long. I'm
excited to read that.
Yeah, it makes for some interesting reading, but it's a lot of great material. It really gets into the can and can'ts and the best way to get started. So, highly recommend that. Then we also have our precinct list of the 10 polling locations in Lee County. Again, that can all be found on our website as well. On the right-hand side of the packet, you have your basic information on filing your first report. So it'll have all the information that you will need. It'll have instructions on how to do that. So if you go to training, you're still have a few questions on it, it's all in there for you, and it saves you the trouble, I guess, to where to find them.
Are financial reports due every month?
So it depends. In even numbered years, you file on a quarterly basis. In municipal, it's a little bit different. You'll file your organizational report, your pre-primary report, a 35-day report. So it's a very detailed schedule for municipals. But again, if you're under that $1,000 threshold, you don't have to file reports. So one of the things you'll also get when you come here in Lee County is a flash drive. The flash drive will have all of this information on there, but it also has a list of registered voters. It'll be in your municipality. If you're running by ward, it'll have, whether you're running by ward or not, it'll have all the information broken down that way. Something that we get a lot of requests for anyway, but we found that if we give it to the candidates ahead of time, it kind of cuts down on that. So really helpful, and you'll have all that. And one of the things that I would encourage you to do, I gotta remember this, is to use, well, you gotta know your password first. Is to use the campaign finance software. This is something that's free. It's available from the State Board of Elections. What I really enjoy about it is whether you're raising or spending a lot of money, it does all the math for you. One of the biggest things when we do audits is we see, people get their math wrong. It happens. So I would highly recommend that. And what I also like is that it'll tell you all of your information will already, once you load it in there, it'll be linked to the next report, so you don't have to go back
Continuously.
right and figure out how much money did I have from the previous report. So it's all there for you. If you spend or raise more than $10,000, you have to submit it electronically. So if you go over that $10,000 mark at any point during a campaign, you would have to go back in and enter all this information. It's very difficult to do, very time consuming too. So best way is to start from the beginning and work your way there. Now, if you were coming to file for office today, you would have filled out all this paperwork, which takes
A little bit of time,
takes some
sure.
time, and then you would actually have to go through the filing process itself, which is fairly straightforward, but it's just one more piece of paper to sign. And what would happen is you'd either come to me or to somebody else in the office, and they would look you up to make sure you're a registered voter, make sure you're eligible to run in the race that you were seeking, and then you would print out what is known as the notice of candidacy. You would review it because it would have how you want your name on the ballot, and you'd be swearing and affirming that you are who you say you are and that you're qualified to vote in this race. So it takes about 5 minutes extra. The biggest thing is name on the ballot. We have to go over what titles can be on the ballot. Somebody who's a doctor cannot actually put that on there as well. Like you can't say doctor, if you're a doctor by chance, you can't be Dr. Arianna Del Palazzo. The only titles that I believe are allowed are Mr. and Mrs. Miss as well. So pretty interesting. Most candidates choose, like for instance, my name is Parker Holland. That's my middle name, so I would probably put that on there instead of my first name is Thomas.
Because people would know you as
Nobody would know who Thomas was.
Right.
So.
Everybody knows who Thomas Holland is.
Yeah, exactly, right?
That's Spider-Man.
Yeah. That's a good point. So,
Thomas Holland.
Yeah, you might be in good shape.
Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, and that's pretty much the basics of coming here and setting up. One of the things that we always want everybody to make sure of is that we're here to help you. If you reach out to us ahead of time, we can really help you out. Usually, when you get an audit report, it could have been solved by a quick phone call. So yeah, we're always here to help. We don't ever want to catch any. We're not here to get people in trouble. We're here to help make sure everybody's following the law. Absolutely.
Very good.
So, you were talking mostly about local stuff. Talk a little bit about higher level elections. What would you do there?
So, if you're running for a state office like North Carolina Senate, you would start here. Or North Carolina House, you would actually file for office here, but all of your campaign finance information goes to the State Board of Elections. If you're running for lieutenant governor or council of state position, anything like that, you would actually file at the State Board of Elections office in Raleigh.
What about the FEC?
FEC, so when you file for office and you're running for a federal race such as Congress, your campaign finance reports actually go to the FEC in Washington. And there, that's a completely different ballgame there. So I've never actually gotten into how they do their audits, but I'm sure it's pretty interesting.
What are some of the other names that you shouldn't name your committee? Funny ones that you've come across that you had to say no?
I haven't really seen any funny ones yet. Typically it's the committee to elect or citizens for it and the candidate's name. I would just refrain from using any profanity in one. I've never seen one yet, but I would make sure that because all this is public record. If you go on our website, you can see all the campaign finance reports since I believe 2015. So anything that you're going to write on there is going to be available for public inspection.
Damn high committee.
Yeah, I would not recommend that. So, but yeah, so they're actually all available on our website. If you don't have a reliable internet source, you can always come and check them out in person during office hours as well. But as I said, the confidential information remains confidential. It's under lock and key at all times.
What is the biggest mistake that everybody makes all the time?
Cash. You've got to be very careful when it comes to cash. As I was saying earlier, if somebody brings you $100 in cash, it's hard to turn it down. I mean, you're grateful that they brought you that and they want to make a contribution to your committee, but it is prohibited. I would say that's the biggest thing. We see a lot of candidates do loans as well, and when they're filing forms, they forget to give us the loan proceeds statement. So it's a small thing, but it's something you're going to get a letter saying, hey, we need this. And the first filings are always interesting because for a lot of people it's the first time they're doing it. So they make some mistakes, but typically it's nothing egregious. It's nothing, they're trying to game the system. It's just not knowing. I'll always say this for campaign finance. I don't have a business background. My major in college was political philosophy. So when it comes to business, I'm a novice. But campaign finance makes the most sense in the world to me. If you did your accounting for a company or a business the way you do campaign finance, probably wouldn't work out so well. And that's because with campaign finance, your bank account's typically not going to match what's on your campaign finance form, just because your report's due typically 30 days after the report period. So you probably already raised or spent more money since the last time you got your bank account information. So it's I would just say be careful with that. But who's your treasurer for sure, because
Can't be your spouse.
yeah, cannot be your spouse. And like I said, there's a list of who it can and cannot be in there. But yeah, it's just one of those things. If you've done it enough, once you've done it enough, you'll really get the hang of it. But the first couple times are always interesting.
It's important to reach out to the local board.
So talking to finances, before you come over here, should you set your bank account up first, or do you do it after you?
You can do either or. I would recommend doing it beforehand, because that's one less piece of information that you have to get back to me. You have 10 days once you file or publicly announce to get this information. If you have it ahead of time, it's one less piece of paper I'm going to probably track you down for.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Excited to get the process rolling.
Absolutely, and this is yours to take.
Thank you.
And if you ever have any questions, just give me a call.
Very good.
Awesome.
Very good.
GOP is the website we created where we're going to do a lot of training. We're going to do new, modern, eclectic, exciting training. We're trying to use different type of mediums and formats. Through video, through different social media platforms. We're going to bring the training that you want, you request, and we're going to try to make it fun. We're going to make it useful, timely, just in time, as my friend Jim Womack always says to say, so that it's relevant. And so varsity.gop.